I'm Vinnie Politan. The subject of my investigation is Madeline Soto, a young girl from Kissimmee, Florida, 13 years old. Now, during this program, you're going to hear about some horrific things that happened to Madeline, and we're going to focus on what her mother was doing while all this was happening. Here's her story. Madeline Soto was all dressed up and smiling as she posed for a picture at her 13th birthday party. It was a fun day, surrounded by relatives and loved ones, celebrating the start of her teen years. But what Madeline didn't know was that it would be her last day on Earth alive. After the party, Madeline was dropped off by a relative at her home. Her mom, Jenn, wasn't there because she was working. In fact, her mom had missed the party. So instead, her mom's on-again, off-again live-in boyfriend, Stephan Stearns, came over to watch Madeline and make sure she got ready for bed because the next day was Monday, a school day. Jenn got home around 10 and everyone went to bed around 11. The next day, Stephan was supposed to drive Madeline to school. He said he dropped her off, but Madeline never made it. Later that night, Madeline was reported missing. As police began their investigation, they said they found hundreds of inappropriate images of Madeline on Stephan's phone, including abuse being performed by Stephan. He was arrested. Then, a couple of days later, Madeline's body was found 20 miles away. Stephan was then charged with murder and is now facing the death penalty. So now, really, for the first time, we're hearing the in-depth interviews done of Jenn Soto, the victim's mother, telling her story, telling her version of what happened, where she was, what she saw. So I want to take a listen to part of that. And this is a crucial part where she's talking about, according to her, the last time that she saw her daughter.
Or Sunday she had her birthday party, right?
Sunday she had her birthday party.
Okay, what time was that party at?
It started at 3 o'clock.
Okay, from 3 to what time?
I'm not sure. I wasn't there. I was at work.
Oh, okay, you weren't there.
But I know my sister was home around 8:30.
Was Stephan here at that time?
I'm not sure if he was here at the time, but I think he got here a little bit after. And he was like, okay, she was already doing what she was supposed to. She had taken her nighttime meds, and she was getting ready for bed, like taking a shower. She'd take showers at night. So he's like, okay, she was already on it. I didn't get home until, I'm going to say 10:30.
Okay.
And then at 11, I sent them to bed.
Did Stephan make it to the party?
No.
Okay. And then once you get here, you said you sent her to bed at 11. And the following morning, well, I'm sorry, let me backtrack a little bit. You send him upstairs, right? How many bedrooms are upstairs?
3.
Okay. Where?
In bedroom number 4.
Okay. And what about Stephan?
Bedroom number 4.
Okay. Is it normal for both of them to sleep in the same room?
Sometimes. When I really need a good night's sleep, I will send them upstairs. But when, also a lot of times, we will sleep together in the king-size bed, all 3 of us. Or sometimes Stephan will go upstairs and our bed alone. So it just really depends on what's going on that night with our schedules and what we're doing.
Okay, where were you sleeping?
Downstairs in the king-size bed.
Now, all the times that you hear the audio get muted there, that's where they're using, we believe, Madeline's name. So they're redacting the audio. But as you listen to that, as everyone's listening to that, I think there's a level of disbelief and a level of, are you kidding me, going on. That she sent them to bed, that she sent her on-again, off-again, live-in boyfriend, Stephan Stearns, to another floor of the home to be alone in bed with her daughter, 13 years old. And the moment everyone heard that, questions, and one big question, which is my first question tonight, and it's all about Madeline's mom. Will Jenn Soto be charged? That's been the biggest question, I think, here since the arrest of Stephan Stearns, and now with the release of this audio and understanding the dynamics going on here, it's a legitimate question. So let's bring in some guests to help answer that. Joining us in Orlando, Florida, WFTV investigative reporter on top of this story from the beginning, folks, Shannon Butler is with us. Also joining us, human behavior expert and jury consultant Susan Constantine, who's been evaluating Jenn and Stephan since the beginning as well. Thank you both for being here. Okay, I have to begin with you, Shannon, because I know you exclusively received some information on this very question about will Jenn Soto be charged. What did you find out?
Well, we have been trying to kind of figure out what the involvement was, if there was any, since the beginning of this case. And people have been pretty reluctant to say much about Jenn Soto. Most of that focus, of course, has been on Stephan Stearns. But we finally got multiple sources to tell us that at this point, Jenn Soto will not be charged with a crime. They did not find anything criminal in the evidence that they found in this case. I know this is not what people wanted to hear. I broke this news yesterday. I've had dozens of emails of people who just don't understand how this could be. But at this point, investigators say, well, listen, if we find something else, I mean, that could always change. But as we stand today, as we stand right now, Stephan Stearns will be the only one charged in this case.
Okay, Susan Constantine, in that statement where she's explaining the dynamics of my boyfriend, I sent them to bed. What are you hearing from her in the way she's explaining this arrangement? Does it sound to you like she knows what could be potentially happening upstairs in that room?
Well, the thing that really struck me, Vinnie, was the word sent. She's sending them upstairs to the bedroom, which is really odd, which is like, were they both sitting there eating popcorn and all of a sudden she says, okay, it's bedtime, you need to go upstairs, and she goes downstairs. The family dynamic is really unusual. I mean, I think we all agree with that. So did she know? I, as a mother, would say, how could she not know? She had to have known something. I mean, listen, she's a single woman. She has had issues with him in the past. You can't tell me that at some point in time that she didn't pick up his phone and see photos or something's unusual. Not only that, let's just look at it from a practical standpoint. These two are in a relationship. He, if he's attracted to young girls, it is a soup du jour. He likes a certain type. So what was their sex life like? That's what I'd like to know. Because if she's sleeping downstairs and her daughter's upstairs, and then when do they have their time together? Seems like a really odd thing. And I know I actually watched Shannon last night on TV, by the way. She's my local news reporter. And I heard her state that there was no charges at this point. But that doesn't mean, and I know Shannon knows this too, doesn't mean that it may not come about at some point.
Yeah, and looking at it from my perspective as a former prosecutor, you need proof that she knew, right? If she's not going to admit that she knew what was going to happen or what Stephan was potentially doing to his daughter, you have to have some evidence of it. So it's either got to come from someone else, an electronic communication, some acknowledgement, and that's the piece I don't think that they have found anywhere, because if they did, I'm sure they would perhaps charge her. Now, there's another interesting part of this that I want to play from her interview, where her car is then tracked kind of going back towards the scene later that night. Listen to what she says about her car.
What about Stephan?
Stephan went out sometime in the middle of the night and went searching, cruising around to see if he could figure out where she might be. What car was he driving? My car. Was anybody driving Stephan's car? No, just Stephan.
what time was he out?
I have no idea. I fell asleep. But I know he drove my car because when I got into it, I said, oh, the seat's adjusted. Did you drive my car? He goes, yeah, remember I said I was going to take a drive tonight to go search for her because he does have, like, insomnia. He can't sleep at night sometimes. And especially, like, that's what's going on right now. But I'm not sure what time he may have come in or out. But if you guys look at my gate clicker, you need that to come in the front gate. You can see what times he may have come in and out.
All right, Shannon, put a little more context on this alleged trip that I guess Stephan is taking in Jenn's car, according to Jenn.
Well, a couple of things. If you remember from some other statements he had made, because we always thought this was weird, they didn't go out and search for her. He said he didn't search, right? So then we know in that area where Madeline Soto's body was found that there was, his car was tracked there and Jenn Soto's car was tracked thereafter. And we had a lot of questions about, well, what does that mean? Did Jenn Soto drive down there? Did he drive the car? We suspected it was him because at that time we were getting indications that she was not going to be charged. This now explains if he left in the middle of the night to go look for her, that's where he was.
Okay, our guests are staying with us. Coming up next, does Jenn Soto's story make sense?
But on his way to school, she was very sleepy and wanted to sleep in the car. And she said she did not want to do McDonald's. She just wanted to be dropped off.
Coming soon to Court TV.
It's the biggest story that we're covering.
He is the boogeyman.
Lori Daybell.
She said, I will have you destroyed.
She got another murder trial coming up.
A social media sensation, now a suspected killer.
Shame on you, Richard Allen.
It's scary just knowing that he was so close.
I promise you, it was not intentional.
The high-stakes trials you don't want to miss. Coming soon, only on Court TV.
If you see my daughter, just please bring her home. I just hope you're okay, Maddie. I hope you're safe. I hope you're not hurt. I just hope she's okay.
Madeline Soto's mother did TV interviews, as did Stephan Stearns. He was lingering around as well when her daughter Madeline was missing. But she didn't just talk to television reporters. She also spoke with investigators. Let's take a listen now to her interview where she goes through step by step telling police where she was, what she was doing. This is her story. Let's listen.
So it wasn't last night. It was the night before. Stephan slept in bedroom number 4 and you slept downstairs. Yes. In the master. Okay. What time did you wake up? I'm going to say around 8 o'clock in the morning. Stephan came into the room and was trying to put the leash on the dog. Somewhere between, I'm going to say somewhere between, he came into the room somewhere between 8 and 8:15. He came in to put the leash on the dog, and I got up to try to help him because my dog is kind of a nervous dog, and I didn't want him to pee on the bed. So we wrangled him, put him on his leash, and he said, go back to sleep. And I said, okay. So I laid back and went back to sleep. Okay. I heard people in the kitchen. I'm not sure exactly who was in the kitchen. As far as I know, I came downstairs to get ready in her. So she's got, she's kind of got a bedroom in the living room. If you go into the apartment, you'll see there's like one of those fake walls, separating half the bedroom. She's got like a desk with a bedroom and a TV and a dresser. But she'll hang out there during the day, but she never sleeps there. She always sleeps with me, and then the rare occasion upstairs. But most of the time it's with me. Okay. Did you see her on Monday morning? Visually see her? No. Did you hear her? I heard many people in the kitchen. I'm not sure if it was my roommate or her specifically.
Okay, is your roommate a male or a female?
Female.
Okay.
They're both females.
When was the last time you physically saw?
Wednesday, 11 o'clock. I'm sorry, Sunday, 11 o'clock.
Sunday when you sent her to bed?
To bed. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I woke up around 9 o'clock in the morning. And then I left at 9:30.
I had an appointment,
I had
right?
a doctor's appointment at like 10:15. But they took a while. And then by the time they did my blood work and whatever, I think I got home somewhere between 11 and 11:15.
Okay. When you got back, was Stephan here?
I'm pretty sure he was, yeah.
What was he doing?
Just sitting in my room. At my computer desk on his phone.
Okay. What did you guys do?
We chatted for a little bit. I asked him what had happened because he had called me earlier at 10. Let me see. Pretty sure he called me around 10:18.
What did he call you for?
To let me know. To let me know that they didn't go to McDonald's as planned. He had asked her multiple times if she wanted to stop at McDonald's because that was the plan the night before, that they were going to wake up early. He was going to take her to McDonald's, do like a special McDonald's breakfast, and then drop her off at school early because she wanted to get there a little early. But on his way to school, she was very sleepy and wanted to sleep in the car. And she said she did not want to do McDonald's. She just wanted to be dropped off.
Okay.
Also to let me know that he left his phone at home because I had called him multiple times and he hadn't picked up. He had left his phone at home by accident. He had went to the vape shop, but they didn't open on time. So he had waited for quite a while in front of the vape shop. They didn't open, so he left and came back and we hung out a little bit. And then I think he left again to the vape shop to go buy what he needed.
All right, there's a lot going on in Jenn Soto's story, which brings me to our next question about the story, which is, does Jenn Soto's story make sense? Is it consistent with the other evidence we know? How about the way she's telling the story, what she's saying? Does it make sense? Still with me, investigative reporter Shannon Butler and human behavior expert Susan Constantine. Okay, I'll begin with you, Shannon. Anything in her story that's sort of out of sync with some of the other evidence in the case or other statements that she may have made?
Yeah, the statements never really lined up. If you look at what just in that audio clip, she said she woke up at 8, then she said she woke up at 9. She had the doctor's appointment. There have been, other statements where she did say that she saw Madeline get ready for school in the morning. Then there was another statement along with this one that said she didn't see her the night before. She doesn't remember the timeline very well, but when she tells the story about what Stephan did that day, that's the same story that he told investigators. That clearly is what he told her too. And she was just repeating the story that he told. It seemed, if without knowing the facts that if you listen to that, it seems like she was very detailed and believed exactly what happened that morning. We don't know if she did or she didn't, but she's very, very calm. We have been told that she has some medication, and you hear in some of these statements, and if you listen to more of these interviews, she talks about the medicine. So I don't know what kind of effect that has. They believe that it had some kind of effect, and why she even admits, I'm a little spacey here because I took my medicine. So I know people think that she's too calm in these interviews. She doesn't show any emotion. And that's most of the comments we get is how her daughter's missing. How is she so calm? And those are the excuses that, she gives, that she's a little spacey.
Susan Constantine, as you listen to her tell her story, does her story make sense? Does the way she tells the story make sense?
So when you look at the language and you put it on a sheet of paper and you're analyzing it from sentence to sentence, and you're putting on the sides each one of these timelines, and then you compare it to the language, the pausing, and having to refer back and forgetting to, and then adding a new timeline. All those timelines are super important. So when I'm listening to that, I'm going, these timelines have some significance, and we really need to find out why. The one of the things that what really pointed out to me was the question that was asked is that, did she see Stephan? She said, well, I'm pretty sure I did. And then she says that she saw him sitting at the computer, and he was just at the computer, and they were just chatting it up. So she just got done saying one thing, and then she dismissed that and went to another direction. So Shannon was right on. And what she's doing is she's parroting the language and the chronological events that occurred, because she's repeating back what Stephan said. So you can see that correlation there. Yes, she sounds really calm. One of the things that we did, and you know that we do this at my company here, is that I analyze the voice and I analyze the language, and we do a behavioral analysis all in one. And there's deception all throughout. She scored very low, meaning that there was high levels of deception in her statement. So when you're listening to her tonality, she doesn't seem nervous. Now, yes, maybe she's on medication. It may calm some of her nerves down, but this is not a frantic parent. I don't hear any of that. It certainly doesn't move me to feel any.
We're out of time. Susan Constantine, Shannon Butler, thank you so much. I'm Vinnie Politan. We'll keep digging for answers as the investigation continues. I'm Vinnie Politan as we continue our investigation into the murder of 13-year-old Madeline Soto. It appears she was the victim of both a predator and a mother who was unable to protect her from that predator. It's tragic, it's sad, and it seems like this is something that clearly could have been prevented. Here's her story. 13-year-old Madeline Soto was celebrating her birthday with her family all day Sunday. Then Sunday night, she went to sleep at her home, not alone in her room, not with her mom, Jenn, in the master bedroom, but with her mom's boyfriend, Stephan Stearns, in the guest room. The next day, Stephan says he dropped Madeline off at school, but she never showed up. Instead, she was reported missing. Police then found images of Madeline being sexually abused on Stephan's phone. Then they found her body. And now Stearns has been charged in 2 cases and is facing the death penalty in one of them. In the meantime, Jenn has not spoken publicly since Madeline was found murdered. The key location, I believe, in this story is not where Madeline was found, but Madeline's home. And in Jenn Soto's police interview, we're hearing a little bit more about the setup inside this house. And it's a little different, it's a little strange, it's a little puzzling. Where the rooms were situated, who was where, and who was in that house. And I think it's crucial, absolutely crucial, to figuring out what happened to Madeline and how it happened and exactly where it happened. So let's take a listen now to Jenn Soto describing the setup inside her home that she shared with Madeline.
Is it just you two here? Well, you guys have a roommate, right? We have 2 roommates, and one of the roommates has a son who's here like a little bit more than half the week. So what rooms do you guys use? The room downstairs, the master bedroom downstairs, and room number 4. She's kind of got a bedroom in the living room. If you go into the apartment, you'll see there's like one of those fake walls, separating half the bedroom. She's got like a desk with a bedroom and a TV and a dresser. But she'll hang out there during the day, but she never sleeps there. She always sleeps with me.
and then the rare occasion upstairs. But most of the time it's with me. Is your roommate a male or a female? Female. Okay. They're both females.
Okay, let me understand what's happening in this house. It's not a huge house. It's not small, but it's not huge. You've got Jenn Soto there with her daughter Madeline, but Madeline has a room in the living room, but she doesn't sleep there. Jenn has the king downstairs, and there's bedrooms upstairs, and there's 2 female roommates, plus one of the female roommates has a son that stays there. And then, oh, of course, Stephan Stearns, the on-again, off-again, accused pedophile, accused killer boyfriend. So this brings me to my next question about this house and what happened to Madeline. Why didn't anyone hear or see anything suspicious? Why didn't they? I mean, this is not a mansion. Seems to be a lot of people there. Let's bring in some guests who are going to help us get this answer. Joining us, the creator behind the very popular Grizzly True Crime YouTube channel, which has been breaking news and the internet all week on this. Grizzly K is with us, and retired FBI Special Agent Bobby Chacon. Thank you both for being here. Grizzly, I'm thinking about the setup in this house, and I am baffled as to why, if you've got at least, you know, not counting Stephan Stearns, 3 adults inside that home, nobody saw or heard anything suspicious?
My name is Gisela.
Gisela,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Did
I call you Grizzla? Because of Grizzly True Crime.
Grizzla, like Grizzly. Makes sense, makes sense. So, Vinny, I've been obsessed with this myself because it doesn't make any sense. How do you get a body out of the house and all of that? How does Jenn then not know? And you know, in studying the photos that I've received from my FOIA request, which is about 40 gigs of photos, slowly but surely, I wonder if the whole going upstairs is really just a story, another lie on top of a lie. I truly believe everything happened downstairs that night. There's so many clues. There's Madeline Soto's one crock that's in Jenn Soto's master bedroom. There is Madeline Soto's underwear just under the bed sheets. There is Stephan Stearns' boxer shorts, which matches the one he's wearing that I unfortunately had to see in some of the photos because they slowly peeled his clothes off for evidence. And so it matches that as well. So how on earth would Jenn Soto be like, there's his boxer shorts, there's her underwear, there's her crock, but wow, she must have been upstairs. And even if she ran upstairs, wouldn't you notice a tripod, some weird cream, possibly some weird toys and things lying around? It doesn't make any sense. The only thing that makes sense to me now, based on everything I've seen, is that it happened downstairs.
Bobby Chacon, you've got all these people in the house. No one is seeing or hearing anything suspicious. Does that make sense to you?
No, I think they saw it and they were either complicit in it or they were ignoring it. I think that it's hard for me to believe that this pattern of abuse lasted this many years with nobody else knowing except for the victim and the perpetrator. That mother, in my mind, had to know. If she, you know, mothers have that instinct, that motherly instinct, even if they're bad mothers. You know, if your 13-year-old daughter is uncomfortable in a situation. She knew the girl was uncomfortable in this relationship, and it's just it's a tragedy that this young child fell under the care of a mother who, you know, would ignore this kind of activity and subject her daughter to this kind of danger.
Yeah, and as we have heard and has been reported, law enforcement has no plans to charge Jenn Soto with anything. And my take on that is they can't prove that she knew based on whatever evidence they've uncovered here. But the evidence is the evidence. I want to put up on the screen, this is from Orange County Sheriff's Office search warrant. This is another baffling part of all this. It should be noted, prior to the search of Stephan's apartment, I was advised there were photographs located on Stephan's phone where he appeared to record his roommate in secret. While at the apartment, I was able to utilize Stephan's cell phone and recreate the angle and contents of the photographs by placing his cell phone under the crack of the roommate's bedroom door. I photographed the placement of Stephan's cell phone and uploaded it to evidence.com. So Gisela, this is a guy who seems to have a little bit of a history of this behavior, yet still, no one knows, no one is suspicious, no one sees or hears anything.
Unfortunately, as we know in true crime, that's how predators and groomers operate, and they seem to have, their appetite cannot be satiated. So, I mean, if he's not abusing a little girl in the home, or I don't know what he's doing to Jenn Soto, then he's filming under the door crack. I mean, it's so sickening to think that he was doing that, let alone everything he filmed on his phone with Maddie, dating back to when she was 8 years old.
I want to put up on screen something else from the search warrant. During the Orange County Forensics Unit, they photographed numerous items of clothing and bedding which were identified as being in contact with the victim during sexual abuse. So this is stuff that's matching the photos that they retrieved from his phone. Most of the items were collected from the downstairs bedroom and divided off sleeping area in the living room. That would be Madeline's room. And some additional items were collected from the upstairs bedroom, identified with a number 4 on the door. So Bobby, what's happening here, the photos that they found, the hundreds of photos, they're taking pictures all over the house. Yet still, nobody saw or heard anything suspicious all this time.
No, it's outrageous to believe that. I mean, look, it appears it's been happening in every room of the house. This is, you know, I don't know how open it is, whether he was doing it when no one else was home. It's hard to believe that no one else in that house knew when it's happening in all these different rooms. Some of them don't even have a door on it because it's one of these fake wall type things, a divider where she has a little part of the living room. They even found stuff there in the mother's master bedroom when the mother said she sleeps with her daughter, and upstairs. So all of this activity is happening in all of these rooms. You know, it's bizarre to me that they haven't had enough to charge her, but that's their statement, you know, and I understand evidence has to be had to go forward, but it's beyond belief that no one else, there's not another adult in that house knew what was going on.
Yeah, no surprise why she was telling her friends that she wanted to live in the woods when she turned 13. Still to come, where was Stephan Stearns during all of Jenn Soto's movements?
One of them responded to me. He said she didn't make it to his period at all, and he checked all her other classes, and she didn't make it to school at all. That's when I knew something was truly wrong.
One of the most successful true crime TV shows ever.
This is crazy.
Now has a new home on America's original true crime obsession, 48 Hours on Court TV. Coming up next on Court TV.
It's the biggest story that we're covering.
He is the boogeyman.
Lori Daybell.
She said, I will have you destroyed.
She's got another murder trial coming up.
A social media sensation, now a suspected killer.
Didn't make it to school. I went to pick her up from school today, and she never came out. They announced it over the speaker, and I'm just like, maybe she walked here, because sometimes she'll walk here to this office. I came here, nothing. I went back to the school, they were closed. I got a notice, an email from the school saying she was absent, but I also messaged her teacher, and he looked at her entire attendance today and saw that she was completely not at school today either.
Okay, so here's the question I have for Madeline's mothers, and it's an important one that she explains in this interview with police, is about, okay, what happened when you went to go pick up Maddie at school? Like, where did you go? What did you do? Here she is answering that question.
At some point, I understand he gets like a flat tire, and he's not able to go with you to pick school. Yeah, right? Yeah. And when you get to the school, how do you realize that she wasn't there? So I left for, I usually leave around 2:30 to pick her up. She gets out of school at 4. So I wait it takes me about 20-25 minutes to get to the school, and then I wait about an hour for her to get out. I waited the whole time, and then when the bell rang and then it was time for her to come out, she wasn't one of the first kids like she normally is. And I realized I was holding up the line because everyone behind me had children, and they needed to get out because I was the first in line. So after about, I'm gonna say, I think it was like 4:10, she didn't come out, and I was holding up the line, so I drove away. I said, maybe I forgot to tell her that I was picking her up that day, because I don't know if she knew that I wasn't working that day. But I had assumed that she thought, she knew that I was going to go get her. So because she never came out, I left and I went. She works less than, I'm going to say it's like a 3-minute drive from the school. It's very close. She works in the Hunters Creek Villages area. I drove that way, and I drove along the path that she would walk, and I didn't see her. And then office, I asked, hey, has she gotten here yet? They said no. And I said, okay, let me wait a little bit. And I parked back again on Hunters Park Lane, I think. And I waited along that lane to see if I would see her walking. And I didn't see her walking. And it was about 4:30, 4:35. At this point, she should have. So I went back to the office. And then I was like, is she here yet? No, she hasn't gotten here. And I said, okay, hold on. Let me see. I called her best friend. And I was like, hey, are you... I don't know if I told her I was picking her up from school today or to walk to the office, but I don't see her anywhere. And she goes, no, she never came to school today. She didn't come to first or second period. And I said, what do you mean? We dropped her off close to school. She should have walked to school. She goes, no, she never made it to any of her periods. And I said, can you please check with your other friends in your other classes to see if she ever made it? She got back to me and said no. At this point, I started to panic because I realized something was wrong. I emailed one of her teachers, a few of her teachers actually, and one of them responded to me. He said she didn't make it to his period at all, and he checked all her other classes, and she didn't make it to school at all. That's when I knew something was truly wrong, and I'm not before that email or after that email. But I started panicking and freaking out because she should have been to school. She should have made it. After her best friend called me, actually, or I talked to her best friend on the phone, I went back to the school to see, let me check her official attendance. Let me see what's going on. They were already closed. Nobody was at the school. So I searched by backtracking into the school and then coming back out and seeing that there were no kids at the school at all. So then I drove office. Everything was driving. And then I think that response from her teacher at that point.
Okay, so as you listen to Jenn Soto tell her story, she's seemingly panicking and scrambling and doing a whole bunch of things, which brings me to my next question in this case. So while Jenn Soto is doing all of this, where was Stephan Stearns during all of this? What was he doing? Where was he? Let's bring back in our guest, still with us, Gisela K from Grizzly True Crime on YouTube. Make sure you check it out. Incredible content. Also with us, Bobby Chacon. Gisela, so where is Stephan Stearns during all of this?
Do we really want to know, based on what he did that entire day before, going to the dumpster 4 times, driving around with Maddie's body for over 2 hours? I mean, I also wonder, because at some point he drove over to Jen's mother's business too, to just parrot what she was saying. But we also know that he factory reset his phone accidentally, not once, but twice. So I would speculate that's what he was doing in that time, making sure he clears up all his digital content. And who knows, with the type of guy he is, from based on what we know and what he's accused of, maybe he was playing a video game during that time.
So, Bobby, what do investigators do now? Jenn is telling her whole story about everything she did, everything she saw. How do you evaluate that, and how do you compare that with Stephan Stearns' story? And what are your main concerns and focus as you try to compare what each one of them is saying?
Well, it's a timeline. So you put out her timeline and his timeline independently. You interview them independently. You get their timeline. You lock them in, and then you see how much of that can be independently corroborated through videotape, through witnesses, through whatever other means you can to corroborate their timeline. If they say they were here at a certain time, do you have a witness that they saw them there? Do you have a video of them being there? So you start to analyze both of their timelines and what evidence supports or disputes that timeline, and then you know where they're lying and where the holes in their story are, and that's when you can drill down and really kind of put pressure on them.
So, Gisela, from everything that you've gone through, all the information you've come across and uncovered, what exactly is the nature of their relationship, Jenn and Stephan? And how does her family accept him as sort of part of the family? Does her family accept him as part of the family?
Doesn't sound like it. He wasn't at Madeline Soto's birthday party, so they said that. And in analyzing Madeline Soto's grandmother's interview, she said that she never liked him. She couldn't quite put her finger on it, so I would say that's gut feel, but she never liked him. She felt that he was just not contributing at all. You know, hanging around, not contributing financially, not really doing anything there. And she did not want that for her daughter. And that's without even knowing what he was doing, allegedly, to Madeline Soto. So, no, I don't think he was accepted at all.
So, Bobby, as you try to uncover the truth, right? That's what investigators are trying to get to, the truth and what you can prove inside a courtroom. How significant is the scene where Madeline is found versus the scene at the home?
Well, they're both significant. I think the home is more significant because we all believe that that's where the murder took place. The scene where she was found could have some evidence related to the perpetrator or how she was killed and things like that. So they're both significant, but I would think the more significant is the home where we think the murder likely took place. And so that will, that'll have some physical evidence. It'll lay out how it was done. These are all going to be theories, of course, and sometimes you don't have evidence for every single part of your theory. Prosecutors have to go in there and they have to kind of use what they have and build that story. And most of the time, if you get a conviction, you've done that to that substantial degree beyond a reasonable doubt. But there's never a moment where you have 100% of the story, 100% of the evidence supporting the story.
And Gisela, talking about evidence in this case, we know some evidence was discarded. So how much evidence was discarded versus how much was left over inside the home?
Well, he made at least 4 trips to that dumpster in the complex, and who knows where else he went. You know, there were other trips that he did close to his parents' house and all sorts of things. I mean, there was some kind of doll torso found that his mother found in his room, so I don't know where that all came from. But just looking at the photos of what he had discarded, for example, the backpack, he had put it in a plastic bag, and the crock, and it was covered in paint. So no wonder he was so confident saying, her backpack was a black backpack with gray hibiscus flowers because it changed the appearance entirely. I mean, some people say it could be like lotion that spilled or something, but if you really look at it in all the pictures, it looks like it's covered in paint. And he had a lot of it with all his hobbies that he was doing, his figurines. So that's scary to think of that and the spare tire he put in there and who knows what else.
Well, big thank you to our guests giving us great insight tonight, Bobby Chacon and Gisela Kay from Grizzly True Crime. Appreciate your time, your insight, really answering our questions tonight. All right, folks, a parent's first job, once you decide to bring life into this world, is to protect your child. That's your first job. Everything you do, you have to consider the impact it has on your child and what you can do to keep your child safe, especially when they're young. Vigilance, awareness are crucial. And in both counts here, Jenn Soto failed miserably, and her daughter Madeline paid with her life. The question now is, will Stephan Stearns pay for his crime with his life? I'm Vinnie Politan. We'll keep digging for answers as the investigation continues.